Well, I think one of the reasons that this exhibit is so powerful is that it's a real educational tool in the sense of letting people know that there are places like this that exist. And I think that's really important as we tumble further into the 21st century and we're surrounded by modernity, we're surrounded by 24 cable, we seem to be amusing ourselves to death with information, and often a lot of it trivial information. It's good to know that there are places like New Guinea out there where man still has one foot in the Garden of Eden and living the ways of the ancient beings. And for me, this is what's so profoundly humbling, is my entire life is filled with going to the edge of the map, going to places beyond the edge of the map, and really photographing these cultures that are still alive. As I often say, it's my life's mission to photograph cultures from our past that are still alive in the present, and to do that photography for future generations. I think people come to museums, to art galleries, to photographic exhibitions for many different reasons. I think the power of photography is that it's a collaborative effort. It's not only the photographer presenting a point of view, but the person that steps in, looks at any one of these images, looks at some of the artifacts in the New Guinea section that we have in the other room, is that you come to art with your own perspective, your own bias, your own passions, and New Guinea is one of those kind of places that can rattle your cage. There are shrunken skulls, there are instruments that kill people, there are artifacts that chop people's fingers off. All of these things are beyond the normal range of what we deal with, but again, it's wonderful to come to a place that you discover things that are beyond your imagination. And then again, it allows you to realize that your perspective is only one perspective on the world. And there are many, many cultures around the world doing things that are truly unbelievable. And part of my role as a photographer is to humbly bring these images back to show people that their own reality is not the only reality, that there are multiple realities around the world, cultures still steeped in the tradition of relationships with the forest and the spirits, masks that still dance to ancient traditional beats of the jungle. The entire 10 years that I spent in New Guinea, there are images that stick out for me, not so much for photographic reasons of composition or light or successful completion of what I visualize, but because they symbolize a very special moment for me. And this image right here, I'll tell the story. It's in Irian Jaya, the western part of New Guinea. It's way up in the highlands, very isolated area. As I often did, I'd hike for weeks on end, and I heard this young boy was going to get initiated into adulthood, and he had to go through some rituals, the ritual of using the bow and arrow. This image was taken on a particular day. The day before, I had hiked up over the mountain ridge, was coming up the hill, and there was an elder sitting there. And my translator, I would often hike with a number of porters and a translator. Through the translator, this elder asked me, "Which valley are you from?" Because they often don't travel out of their particular region and their valley. And I smiled and I said, "Many, many valleys away." And he kept being very persistent and asking me, "Oh, which valley are you from?" And finally, he answered the question himself. He said, "I know, you're from where the green meets the blue." And he had heard of this place, the color of the sky, where the land ended and the color of the sky was there. And of course, that was the ocean. And in a way, it was true. I was from where the green meets the blue. But I wrote that down in my journal, and that comment stuck with me because it symbolized we're all from where the green meets the blue. We're from this small, fragile planet spinning out in the universe. And I think what's so beautiful about New Guinea is it represents an island of the Garden of Eden. The possibility of what humans came from, what we should hold on to as an ideal, of a fragile ecosystem of a culture and all of its complexities that has somehow or another managed to keep technology and the ways of the modern world at bay. I often get asked, was there ever a moment that I felt in fear of my life or not safe? I think we look at these cultures as exotic, as dangerous, as primordial in the sense that they dance with life and death every day. I have never felt more safe than wandering around some of the highlands of New Guinea, Papua New Guinea and Irian Jaya, because once you get into the rhythm and the heartbeat of the culture, you begin to understand what they're thinking, what they're doing. And so when I often travel, I will spend enough time where I fall into rhythm with the patterns of a particular culture and understand what's appropriate and not appropriate. And so that takes time, and I would often travel for months on end with these cultures. I always travel with a translator. I always travel with a person that I call the fixer, that is kind of looking after me, guiding me through certain experiences, giving me the protocol of do this, don't do that, you better eat the food now because it'll offend them if you don't eat. All of those types of things that allow me to kind of focus in on my job, which is to document the culture.